1 Edward 1029, copy, threatening traffic.
Copy, moving route.
Edward 1029, if you could please respond to 2020 McNeil Street, Lakeview.
Copy. If you still have Ronald on, get the ATO information first.
This year, we honor Deputy Sheriff Ronald Edward Adair, Navajo County Sheriff's Office, end of watch, Friday, May 22nd, 1970.
Go to heaven shouting, love for the Father and the Son.
Welcome to Shooting Straight with Brad and Casey. I'm Brad Carlyon, your Navajo County attorney.
Casey Clark, Navajo County Sheriff.
The video that you just watched before we came on was shot in May down in Phoenix as part of the Arizona Police Memorial. Unfortunately, here in Navajo County, one of our deputies from Navajo County was placed on the wall and was also placed on the Police Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. in May. His name was Deputy Adair, and his family pursued getting his name on the wall because they believed his death was work-related when he had a head injury and then died from an aneurysm. Casey, can you tell us something about Deputy Adair?
You know, he had, the family, the Adairs, were a big family in Pinetop, Lakeside many years ago. And he had originally worked for Maricopa County. And then he came up here and he worked for 6 months for us. And it was 1970, of course, I didn't know him. And he was working over in the Winslow area. And that's where the accident occurred. And so I don't know how it got lost in history, but the Attorney General's office was really helpful in finding the facts and getting it out. So, and then his family has a strong history. When I met him in Phoenix, there was 2 of them that had worked and retired from Phoenix PD. So they have a strong, long history in law enforcement.
How many Navajo County deputies are on that wall?
We have 3. We have our first was Bob Varner, which happened on New Year's Eve, and then he passed a couple days later in 1989. And we have Charlie Lane, captain, and he fell, broke his hip, and then died of a blood clot a day or 2 later. And then we have Ronald Adair. So it's, you know, I've been to the Arizona Memorial before, not to have one of our deputies, but just to be there. It was pretty powerful. The Washington Memorial, I've been to it several times, but not the function itself on Police Memorial Week. And it really had a profound effect on me.
In what way?
You know, as I sat there and I watched Deputy Frick and Ted Mathias, who went there to represent Navajo County and the Adair family, they were standing in the cordon, and they had 16 Greyhound buses, 16. And I think there was 132 officers killed last year, 132 officers killed across this nation. And those buses contained the husbands, wives, daughters, sons, kids, moms, dads of those police officers. And as they got out, they walked. They were escorted by members of their department. And I just, boy, I don't want to ever be that person. It was, and then to sit there and see the mall was filled. I don't know if there was 30,000 or 40,000, but it was police officers and their families there to honor the fallen across the United States. It was a pretty powerful scene.
Deputy Frick, thank you for joining us. I see you in this fancy uniform. What is that uniform?
This is the Navajo County Sheriff's Office Honor Guard uniform.
And what does the Honor Guard do here in Navajo County?
We represent the Sheriff's Office at functions such as officers' funerals around the state, graduations, basically anywhere the sheriff wants his presence, we can go in his stead, and we're there to be the professional arm of the Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been a deputy?
2.5 years.
And you got to go down to both Phoenix and Washington, D.C. Had you ever been to either memorial before?
I'd been to the Phoenix Memorial while I was in the police academy, but never for the function itself.
And did you participate in the function and other members of your Honor Guard?
This year we did, yes.
What role did you get to play in that?
We were part of the cordon where the families are escorted down into the actual memorial, which means, you know, we all stand at attention with all the other Honor Guards from the state as basically and form a barrier for the families of the fallen to be able to walk down into the memorial.
Being an officer, being young, how did it impact you? Because oftentimes somebody your age still feels invincible.
Well, I have a family and young children and a wife, and it's definitely, it can be sobering. That, because my feeling is that the only difference between me and someone who's on that wall could be luck, it could be some kind of intervention, it could be a number of things, but those people died doing something I do every day. For the only reason is because they were a police officer or a deputy or anything. And so it's just another reminder that everything you do, you have to do with caution and professionalism. But it was also empowering to see that many law enforcement officers from the state and even from around the country to be there to honor the fallen, past and current, being added to the wall.
And there was another officer from Phoenix who died just recently.
Correct.
One of the things that really struck me was that he had a daughter who was being promoted from kindergarten, and there was over 100 of his fellow officers showed up in his place.
Correct.
That's just powerful, the way you guys support each other on that and support the families. And one of the things you did just this last month too, Casey, that ties in is the 100 Club. You want to talk about that?
You know, we had the event, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago this Saturday. This was our third annual, and the Hunter Club is, you see it all the time on TV, on the channel news or whatever, when officers killed. But they go in and they support the family, of firefighters, law enforcement, and so we just wanted to give back. I really hope that we never need it here in Navajo County, but they do a wonderful job, and a lot of the folks that work for the Hunter Club, their spouses were killed in the line of duty at some agency. So they're still working to honor their fallen loved ones, and they really truly believe in it. So some great folks on that board, and we've done well with our fundraising there, and everything is donated. You know, when we talk about this community, we go through this community, and the businesses just come out and donate, and so there's no administrative costs. Everything we raise goes, you know, the deputies volunteer to be there, firefighters and so forth, the police officers, our search and rescue, our SAV, and it's a great event. So I always it's one of the events that I look forward to each year. You know, the case was talking about representing me or the sheriff's office. The way I look at the Honor Guard is the Honor Guard is representing the sheriff's office, but it's there to honor our fellow officers. It's there to show respect for what we do, whether it's another agency. It's there to show the professionalism of our deputies. It's there to at some of the, we've had them at some funerals for veterans that were still in law enforcement. But it's there to, it shows, it's not just anybody can be on the honor guard. We go through a vetting process, and if you're a deputy that's, average or something like that, we look for the best we have to be on that honor guard.
What did you volunteer and try to get on the honor guard, deputy?
It was a year ago, last April. So I've been in the honor guard for a year, 13 months.
But why? It's extra time, extra duty, more time away from your family and kids. Why is it important to you to be a member of this honor guard?
For me, it's all about, like Casey was saying, is it's about the professionalism. It's about being the best, looking your best for these people who are having basically the worst day of their life, the funeral of a loved one, and so if we can be there to show them our support, and that the sheriff's office will always be there for them, that's important.
And I have to say, when whether we're in Washington or whether we're at the Valley in Phoenix at the memorial, that honor guard uniform is one of the best looking in the state, I believe. I mean, and the employees are the ones that came up with that. But it's very striking, and shows a lot of professionalism, and I'm very proud of the uniform that they wear.
When you went to D.C. for the services there, what memories are you taking back from that experience?
Well, at first, as Casey was saying, the whole mall in front of the Capitol building was filled with, I think it was 44,000 people for the reading of the names. So they stand up there, and people from different law enforcement agencies they read every single name added to the wall. Over 200 names this year. And to see that many citizens and that many officers from around the country and some places around the world come to honor those fallen was very emotional to see. And then what really struck me is that the memorial itself is all of the names, and then not only that, but the little notes that family members will come and put next to their names or their departments. And it's very nice to see.
Policing's changed, even just in my lifetime. It used to be, I was taught as a kid, if you need help, run and find a police officer there for you. Now we see across the country more and more law enforcement officers being shot, being mistreated. What do you see in your career? Do you see any of that up here at all?
Not recently. It seems like the public does have, a majority of the public has respect for us and the job we do. And it seems as if since the incident in Ferguson, 2014, that the citizens have come up and wanted to show our support, because it seems like the national media has kind of put a spotlight on law enforcement around the country, and it showed us in a pretty negative light. And so I think the public wants us to know that they support us. And it was, because it is very easy to get into a us versus them, right? That we need to stick together because the public doesn't support us. But I was at Officer Glasser's funeral from Phoenix PD last week, and all the amount of citizens that came out along the parade route and holding up signs, it was extremely emotional, and it made me think, you know what, maybe we aren't just in this alone, that the public and the citizens do care. And that was nice to see, and it was good to feel like we weren't alone.
One of the undertones that you must all carry is not only for your safety, but also the impact upon your wife and children, or husband and children, because of the dangerous nature of the job that you have. How does your wife deal with what you do?
Well, she said something that I found very profound. The day that I graduated, she was crying, and she was saying that she was giving me to the citizens of Navajo County. And since Police Week, she's kind of reiterated that, and she's scared for me. She understands the dangers that we have, but of course, the job that I signed up to do was to protect the citizens, and in order for that to happen, our lives are put in danger. And I think the less you think about it, the easier it is to get through the day. But I think any cop who said that they aren't scared on almost a daily basis doing this job is, I think, fooling himself.
You know, we had a shooting last week where a couple of our officers deputies were involved. And I talked to them at length afterwards, and then the next day I talked to them, and you could tell they were pretty shook up. You know, and a lot of times we try not to show emotion or it's all right or whatever, but you know, when I walked in the squad room and talked to him, and one deputy that was there in uniform, you know, he just had a baby, you know, and his wife, and it's very challenging then to go back to work after being in, all of a sudden you open a door and there's somebody pointing a gun at you. So got to be on your guard all the time.
You know, and there's a story that you related to me, Casey, about a guy that was making meth that you busted up in your MCAT days, and he wasn't there, and he got that message out that he was coming after you, but not just you, he's coming after your family.
You know, a dispatch called me that night many years ago and said that he'd been on a rampage in part of the county and shot up his house and so forth, and he was coming to Holbrook. Of course, I had all my kids at home at that time, but yeah, I sat up all night with a rifle waiting.
And your wife was at the other door?
Yep. So it's, yeah, you just, you never know. I have a guy that in prison that sent me a Christmas card on Christmas Eve. When he gets out, I'm going to have a problem.
And I remember a Winslow PD officer who later became an investigator for the county attorney's office, who they did a drive-by shooting at his house when his wife and kids were there,
Yeah.
and the impact that had on his children.
Yeah, there's no doubt. If somebody comes by your house and shoots it up, it's something you're going to remember.
Is there a way for citizens who want to understand better some of the situations that you guys go through, how they can learn? I don't think the Sheriff's Office has a Citizens Academy, do they, Casey?
You know, we just, we were partnering with Snowflake, and we were supposed to start one this week, and not enough people signed up. We were partnering with Snowflake on it. So we're going to do another one in September, I believe, and we'll get that out. We'll talk more about it on this show. And but yeah, we have these people come in and do Citizens Academy. We've done them with Sholo, we've done them with DPS, we've done them with Winslow, and it's a great way to learn about what we do and why we do it, your rights. And then we also have our SAV that go through a 6-week, 8-week academy, and they're all citizens, and they learn a lot about who we are and what we do.
And SAV stands for?
Sheriff's Auxiliary Volunteers.
And I know participating in the Sholo Chamber Leadership Academy, they have a one-day program on criminal justice law enforcement, and they put them in scenarios where they're stopping a car and how quickly that can go from, you know, sir, you were speeding, to, oh my God, he's got a gun.
Yeah, those I've talked at that at the Leadership Academy, whether it's been on working on the reservations or just locally. They come through our jail and take a look and look at the criminal justice side of throughout the county, and your office included.
How do you help officers, especially young officers, KC, deal with these issues? You
know, they can always talk to other seasoned officers that have been around. I have a very open door policy. You can talk to me. You can talk to our chief, our commanders, our lieutenants. We have an employee assistance program that if you're involved in something, take advantage of it. You know, I think that get involved in the 100 Club, get involved in the honor guard, go down to the valley and go through that memorial, and then talk about it. So.
And you said, Deputy Frick, that sometimes it's hard to talk about. Is there somebody that you have to talk when stresses get high?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to burden my wife with the things that we've gone through. I don't want to worry her any more than she already does. But yeah, there are certain deputies or officers from other agencies even that I can talk to if I need to, and it's reciprocal. They can come and talk to me, and they know that we don't judge each other, and that we get it. We both get it.
As you walk in each other's shoes.
Exactly.
Anything else you want to talk about on this casing?
Well, I just want to thank the citizens of Navajo County for the way they treat all of us, whether it's Show Low, Pine Top, the Sheriff's Office, Snowflake, Holbrook, Winslow. We live in a great community, and through the 100 Club and other things, the folks here show they appreciate law enforcement, and it's I know that people drive up to some of our deputies and stop and thank them. We get letters, comments on the web. We get letters about what our deputies do, and it's great to get those because it kind of reinforces what we're doing right.
So if you have a moment, thank a local law enforcement officer. If you see Deputy Frick or Sheriff Clark, tell them thank you, because they do literally put their lives on the line every day. They live a high stress life. Most of their contacts, they get crap thrown at them in a figurative sense, not literal. Unless you're working in the jail, then you get
right.
But tell them thank you. Help make it more worthwhile for them to do what they do for us every day. And I'll start out. I want to say thank you very much for what you do, Deputy. I truly appreciate it.
You know, one of the things that, again, we get cards and stuff, and sometimes people send cookies or cake. Send cookies and cake. So.
Well, thank you. We'll end it on that high note. Thank you for joining us on this month's Shooting Straight with Brad and Casey. Now stay tuned for our Most Wanted for this month.
For this month's Most Wanted, 66-year-old James Lanford is wanted on a Navajo County Superior Court warrant for the sale of dangerous drugs. James has been selling drugs in the Pine Top Lakeside area and evading law enforcement. If you have seen James or know of his whereabouts, you are encouraged to call the Navajo County Sheriff's Office or contact WeTip as soon as possible.